if I am going to do a video and I'm looking to perform, then I might get a little bit nervous. I might have that perfectionist feeling of, oh, it's not ready yet. I got to do this a different way, and it'll delay it and delay it. But if I'm looking to serve, then there's no nerves. I'm just trying to help the person as much as I can. And in reality, when advisors ask me, I'm like, if you do let's pretend you're putting a video on LinkedIn or wherever, YouTube, and it's got 5 views, that's 5 people. Don't look at it as views, but look at it as people who maybe got a piece of advice or a tip or thought something differently because of something you said, and that's valuable in itself.
Welcome to Wealth Beyond Riches. In today's episode, we're going to talk with someone who I've known for 16 years. They currently run a YouTube channel that has had over 8 million views lifetime in the last 4.5 years, over 550,000 watch hours, and currently is nudging along the lines of 70,000 subscribers. And he answers questions that people looking at retirement are thinking about asking, or they're asking in their mind. And he gives it all away for free. His name is Dave Zoller. He happens to be my business partner here at Streamline Financial, a wealth management firm that we run together. And we're going to hear his personal story. If you've been watching the YouTube channel, Streamline Financial, then you're going to get the behind the scenes a little bit about who Dave is, and also his career trajectory, how his relationship with work has changed over time, how he went from tax preparer at his dad's tax firm to wealth advisor here to Streamline to now he's head of growth and looking at how can we grow our firm using marketing and sales. But we also hear the deeper purpose about why he makes videos and what he's thinking about as he creates them. We hear about his heart of being a servant and seeking to give and not get anything in return, which is the heart of generosity. So my hope is that listening to this, your life moves 1% closer to your passion and your purpose for what you were created to do. Check it out. This is going to be good. I'm so excited today to talk with my good friend, my business partner, Dave Zoller. We've been working together for 16 years now, right? Yeah, 2024. Yeah, 16 years. Dave and I have worked at Streamline together for that long, and then we've been owning and running the business together for the last 4 years, which has been amazing. I heard this the other day. I heard you don't want to do business with your friends because then you'll probably end up without a business and without your friend. And I was thinking about that, and oh yeah, that's true. And then I thought about you, Dave, and I was like, oh, that's not true in our case. And I'm really thankful for that. So,
hey, thanks for saying that. I agree 100%. And thanks for having me on too. I'm excited to talk this way.
Yeah, I'm really excited for 2 reasons. One, I am looking forward to hearing from you personally on your relationship with money, your relationship with work, how that's morphed and changed over time. You've got a unique perspective there. And number 2, you are on the Streamline YouTube channel making content, you're answering the questions that people are asking as they're thinking about heading into retirement. And you're probably one of the most well-read people in that area of what does my relationship with work look like as I transition into retirement? And what does my relationship with money look like? What needs to change? And so you're going to have a unique perspective there too, not only on what you read, but also your experience working with clients, walking them through these different stages of life. That's what I'm excited about. Dave, what are you excited about today?
Yeah, everything you just said to talk. And I've been thinking about, we've always said we'll do weekly videos or monthly videos for clients on big things happening in the world or little things happening in the world or their accounts. And it's always fun doing those and just the back and forth. And now this is the professional version of the podcast. So I'm just happy to give this a test. Maybe it'll turn into something a little bit bigger. Who knows?
Who knows?
If it goes well.
Yeah. No pressure. So Dave, give us a little glimpse into the life of Dave Zoller. What are you spending your time on right now? Like, what does work look like for you?
Yeah. So right now I'm co-owner of Streamline Financial with you. And over the last few years, I've been moving more and more towards I feel it's like the teaching seat because of this content thing that we're doing on YouTube. And because we've got a decade and a half or 16 years worth of experience helping people retire and all the conversations and all the problems and the good things, the success and the failures, we're taking all that stuff that we've learned and talked to people about, and now we're sharing it with other people. So I'm moving more and more into that. And that's something that has been very fulfilling. I love the clients and going deep with people at Streamline and seeing the transformation happen, which can only happen one-on-one when someone's pre-retirement and then they're getting to this new stage of life. And then how do you work it so that it's the ideal stage of life? That can happen one-on-one. But then there's this other part of me that likes the talking to a lot of people at once and sharing those individual stories, confidential names and everything, but share some of the wins and the failures so that they can get help too. So more and more, I'd call that the marketing side is what it is. Really, I see it as like free. I think it's just free advice and it's free education. But what ends up happening is people are seeing this and then they like it. And then they want to reach out to Streamline and say, hey, what you did for that client, I want help with that as well. So it's the marketing side. And then it's the new client side. So there's new people coming in. We have to be very selective as with the people that we start helping in a deeper way. But it's interacting with those new people early on and getting them all set up so that they're moving in the right direction from here on out once they start working with us. And then there's the behind the scenes, right? There's the ownership stuff that we're doing, the strategy, the conversations that we have, just me and you, or with our coach. There's that side too. So those are the three big buckets, I'd say, what I'm spending most of the time on now.
Yeah. And how does that look different than, say, 5 years ago?
Yeah, so let's see, 2019, I would say it was really from the start. Many years ago, it was about doing everything and anything and getting all the knowledge and applying the knowledge to people's lives, being the best advisor I could be. There's a whole lot of, not just the certifications and the learnings and all that and building the plans, but that was a big piece of it. So it was being the advisor was a big chunk of what we were doing in the past. And then it was also the managing the business too. So it was a blend. Sometimes I look at it as like you're the advisor and the manager, and then you're also the leader of the people that you're hiring. I think it was more related to one-on-one personal relationships as the advisor in the past and getting all those learnings. And now what has changed is, I was thinking about this actually, was there, for some reason in high school, there was a quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson, something around everyone is better than me in some way. And therefore, I learned from them in some way. Something like that. That's not the exact quote. But what me and you have agreed on for a long time is there are people better than us in some way. Mm-hmm. And there's even better advisors than us in some way. And what we've done and what you'll see at Streamline Financial is that there's A+ advisors. I don't know how many times better than me, but much smarter for sure. And they just are all around better advisors than me. So what we did was hire people who were smarter than us and better than us so that we could be more selective in how we're spending time. So that was a big change, was building the team and then getting super focused on one thing that we do well and do that more often. So that was a big shift.
Yeah. How did you, Dave, what was that shift like for you? How did you move towards the things that you were uniquely gifted at? How did you become okay with not being the guy anymore? A lot of times in wealth management firms or financial advisory firms, the head guy or gal they're the lead advisor and they have the top clients and all that stuff. How did you move away from that towards what you were gifted at? And how did you wrestle with the identity piece of that? Because sometimes that's the hardest thing to walk away from is, I'm a CFP professional. This is who I am. This is how I help people. And now you've moved into this teaching role of, now I'm teaching other advisors. Now I'm teaching not only clients, but masses of people on the internet. How'd you become comfortable with that?
I think a big part was learning from other people who were years ahead of me and listening to the recommendations that they would make. And it would be people maybe that I know and people that I don't know, whether it's a YouTube video or whether it's a podcast or a book or something like that. And the common theme was find the thing. It's like that Kaizen principle, right? Find the thing you like doing and that you're good at and is the most beneficial for, if you're talking business, it's best for what's best for the business. And then there's another, I'm looking at the intersecting circles here. There's another one about the monetary part of it, which would be part of business as well. So that was a big piece. So it was always, I'm a pretty self-reflective guy. So we'll talk about wins of the week, and then we'll see themes. Oh, this thing about speaking that one time was interesting. I'm going to delve more into that. And then also the thing I'd learned from other people was, what are the things that are really draining to you and hard and just don't come naturally to you? Pay attention to those too. Do more of the things that you're good at and are valuable, and do less of the things that you're not good at. So I've moved that way over a long period of time. I think a helpful thing was looking at the business and the 6 parts, how we've looked at there's marketing, sales, and then product, which is the external stuff. And then there's the internal of operations, finance, and then people, or the management part. And me and you paying attention to that. Where are we spending our time? Where would we like to spend our time? It's been a long process. I remember years ago when me and you and Toby were doing an offsite at some cafe or something somewhere, and I brought up the idea of having the desire to share info with a lot of people. There was something exciting about this. This was in 2012. Maybe there was some social media and stuff going on there, but I was never that apt to do anything with. I didn't want to share online, but there was something out there. There was that desire stuck with me. And then finally, when we were all stuck at home in 2020, it was like, what am I going to do now? I'm watching a lot more YouTube right now. So I bet a lot of other people are watching more, and I'm going to try this out. I want to get better at communicating via video and screen, because that's the way we're headed. We're forced to do that during 2020. And it just moved from there. And I could have started it and then hated it, and then I wouldn't have continued it.
Yeah.
But I liked it, and it just progressed from there.
Well, in reality, most people don't know this, but Dave's really bad at baking sourdough bread or coming up with dance routines in his basement and stuff like that. So he just had to fall back on making YouTube videos.
That was actually a separate channel, the dance routines, but I ended up deleting those videos.
That's wise. That's wise. Oh, Dave, thanks for sharing that. As you were talking about that transformation that happened, it happened over time. It happened by focusing in on the things that you're good at and that bring you joy, and focusing away and paying attention to the things that drain you of energy, or things that don't come naturally. And it didn't happen overnight. I heard that as well. And also you had a desire, but you didn't act on it right away, which is really interesting. It had to wait for the right opportunity. Timing is everything. And so while it was a good idea in 2012, I don't know what we had back then. Was it just MySpace then? Facebook? There wasn't that much social media wise. Yeah. And you waited for the right timing, which is really interesting.
And the other thing too that we didn't have in 2012 was we were only 5 years, or me personally was 5 years into the business. So I was working with clients, still gaining the knowledge, the experience, and learning the scenarios, what's working, what's not working. But then you get to this point, 10 years, 12 years in to the business, and it's okay. I've got the experience. I think that there's that Arthur C. Brooks book that is called, I think it's called Crystallized Intelligence, which is, there's 2 levels of intelligence. And the first one goes really high up until the 30s, and it's the intellectual intelligence. And it's just a fact of our human brain. We tend to decline with some of that, whatever the first type of intelligence is. But there's this other thing called crystallized intelligence, which keeps growing because of your past experiences. And you're applying those experiences then for us, it's helping other people. So I think that 2020 point was just good timing. We had the history. We've got the experiences. Now it's time to teach it, because I could say experts. Now, back in 2012, I probably wasn't an expert, if you want to use that term. But that was another big piece of it.
Yeah. So you had to have the long-term experience before jumping into it. There's a lot of content creators out there that not only aren't experts, but they've barely been doing the thing they're talking about, or they don't even do the thing they're talking about. They're just
20-year-old life coaches. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I have people hire me for $500,000 a month. Dave, as you've leaned into what you're good at, what brings you joy, and what is most beneficial to others, we have a really successful business here, helping people remove their financial burdens and anxiety from their lives to figure out and wonder what's possible about the next stage of life. As you are creating videos and you're answering questions that people have on their minds, What's like the deeper purpose for you behind that? Obviously, the surface level thing is marketing, but you go down under the water, there's a huge iceberg down there, and a lot of that is purpose and meaning. What's that for you as you're creating a video? What are you thinking about, and what's bringing that joy and satisfaction for you?
Yeah. So other advisors will ask me often, how do I get started with the content marketing? How do I do what you did? And I think the number one piece of advice I would say is, and I try to do this with a lot of things, and it's come from the not do it to receive, but do it just to give. So it's like that service mentality. And that way it's cool because in doing a video, I think I've told you this before, Tim, if I am going to do a video and I'm looking to perform, then I might get a little bit nervous. I might have that perfectionist feeling of, oh, it's not ready yet. I got to do this a different way, and it'll delay it and delay it. But if I'm looking to serve, then there's no nerves. I'm just trying to help the person as much as I can. And in reality, when advisors ask me, I'm like, if you do let's pretend you're putting a video on LinkedIn or wherever, YouTube, and it's got 5 views, that's 5 people. Don't look at it as views, but look at it as people who maybe got a piece of advice or a tip or thought something differently because of something you said, and that's valuable in itself. So the question you were asking is the deeper meaning. And I think that idea of helping, 99.9% of the people who watch the videos are never going to call Streamline. And that's actually exciting because of the reach we have now, because hopefully it's serving them in some way, and I'll never and will never know the benefit of it, possibly. And for some reason, I don't know what that is, but it's exciting for me to do that. It might have to do with that idea of the generosity component. I don't know, but it's fulfilling in some way, giving without expecting anything in return. The other thing, and the purpose of the channel in a deeper way, is that the industry focuses so much on the financial component of retirement. Do I have enough? Am I going to be secure and safe? And am I going to be okay? And everybody knows when they get to retirement, if they've got the financial covered, but they ignore the non-financial part, retirement's not going to be as fulfilling as they thought it was, or it's going to be something where they're thinking, is this really all there is? So the purpose of the channel is to help make people aware and give them some of the tools and tactics and maybe some of the principles to think about before retirement on the non-financial side. It's that idea of moving from security to significance, or like the feeling of fear before retirement to more of the feeling of freedom to retirement, more than just money. We talk about the 5 F's a lot. Yes, there's the financial component, but if you don't have the family side, if you don't have the fitness side, or the fun, or the friends, there's probably other ones out there. But if you're missing those other things, the financial side, people have a lot of money, but they're still miserable. We want as many people as we can to avoid that as they get into retirement. So that's the deeper meaning.
I love that. Yeah. And there's never a number that's going to make really anybody feel safe and secure, which is a normal feeling and desire. Everybody wants to feel safe and secure. Everybody wants to feel provided for. Everybody wants to feel significant. And so often we just focus on what's the number, or where do I need to be at a certain point by a certain time to have 100% certainty everything is going to be okay. And while we long for that, I think that's normal to long for that, to long for peace and rest. At the same time, we're also built where we need to depend on other people. We need to depend on deeper meanings, whether it's our faith or our family or our purpose. We need to, it's interdependence that actually is what brings a ton of fulfillment. And Dave, you're one of the best at doing this. I love that mindset of seeking to serve. I remember getting an opportunity to talk to a room full of financial advisors, and it was during an industry conference. And so every single presenter before me was a salesperson from this investment company, that mutual fund company, that annuity company. And I got up there to talk about how we grew our firm by teaching our clients how to be generous and how to increase their generosity over time. Not necessarily dollar amount, but how to increase and continue to exercise that muscle of generosity. And I was nervous beforehand. And then I had this thought as I was thinking and meditating before I went up to talk. And the thought that just entered my mind was like, you've got nothing to sell. All you have is something to give. And it was just really a really freeing feeling. So I can totally see that as you're getting ready to communicate on a video to thousands, cumulatively, probably millions of people over the last couple of years. You're seeking to serve and to give. And when you do that, you have nothing to lose other than some time. But you're taking your collective wisdom that you've read and experienced and sharing that with others. And that's super cool.
And that's one of the, I think it is not one of our listed core values, but it's one of the things that is, I think, underneath all the people at Streamline Financial is that service component. I'm thinking back to the very beginning of going from tax preparer person and long hours in the tax cubicle to then going and learning from you and Toby. And even then I remember I think maybe it was advice from Dad, was like, just look to whatever they need and want, go service first. Don't care about what you want just yet, 22 years old or whatever it was. And then when we would do some of these things way back when, we'd get invited to see a speaker and it was put on by one of those wholesalers or one of those people who are selling their funds or whatever it might be, or a Vanguard presentation, whatever it was. We'd go and we're sitting in a group of 100 other advisors and we're watching the speaker, and it's a good speaker. We're learning and taking notes. And one of the things that sticks out that is the opposite of the service mentality is after the speaker's done, everyone's wrapping up. The guy behind us then says, all right, let's go make some money. We both looked at each other, and that experience or something like it was a reoccurring thing. And I know not all advisors are like this. There's so many great advisors out there, but over and over, you would see, this is the other advisors out there. What Streamline was doing is completely different. And that's why it was so appealing, I think, and it stayed that way and is appealing to other people too when they talk with us. So yeah, that's something at our core that we just don't talk about as often as the other values, I think.
Yeah. You went way back in the day, tax preparer days. I remember, Dave, when you and I first met, I think you were walking around your dad's tax office with like basketball shorts on. You were like moving boxes from here to there. You just come back from Australia from spending 6 months there, surfing and stuff and trading stocks. Because you were ahead of the game over there. You saw what was going to happen.
I was in the future, so those were my best years.
Oh man, do you remember the person who called you when you were doing their taxes, or you called them and you were like, "Hey, it says you're deducting 100% of your apartment for home office. You can't do that. Should we put 90%?" And they were like, "No, it's 100." He said, "But what about your bed?"
Yeah. Where do you sleep? Where do you eat? Where do you go to the bathroom? Yeah. But I also remember, I think the reason why, seeing the interplay of tax planning and investment planning very early on, because we're having meetings with tax people, with clients, and then we're seeing the impact of their financial decisions on their tax return, and they're completely surprised by what just happened the previous year. And there's nothing they can do now because the decision is done. And we're like, oh, wow, the advisors have a lot of influence over what the impact's going to be on them. And then the advisors that were coming in and pitching us, again, I'm painting advisors in a negative light, but there's so many. There are great advisors, but a lot of the ones that were coming in were, it was the salesy type trying to pitch accountants on why to send clients there. Stuff and talking about money was so important, and it really stuck with me. And I was doing anything and everything at the tax firm the first year. One of those things was e-filing. People signed the return, and now it was time to file it with the government, enter in information. And it was like 10-hour days of just staring at the screen. And I think that's the time I remember. I don't remember the basketball shorts moment meeting you, but I remember like probably having bloodshot eyes at like 5 p.m. some evening during April 10th around there. And you like pop in the cubicle and you're like, "Hey, how's it going?" And you're it was you and Toby, I think. And I was like, I can't remember if it was exactly like this, but yeah, you were very positive, and I was just doing these e-filing. But that year, someone called up, and it was transferred to the phone at the cubicle, and they're like, "Mr. Zoller, Mr. Zoller, did my taxes get filed yet? I didn't get any notification. And I clicked a couple buttons and I saw, yeah, it looks like your taxes are filed and all done. And then she goes, oh, and you could feel the relief move off her shoulders. And she goes, oh, you're like a calm island in the middle of a stormy sea. And I was like, what? Thinking to myself, what are you talking about? Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. And then hung up. But I thought about that, and that's always stuck with me, how important the financial stuff is and how to have someone who is on your side and thinking for you and proactively thinking. It always stuck. And that's part of the reason why I think I was so intrigued with investment planning and tax planning and how they work together.
Yeah. As you think about, you say this, you ring the bell all the time here around Streamline of our job is to remove financial burdens from people's shoulders. Whether you're an advisor, whether you're a client service person, you're helping them with their paperwork, their money movement, whatever it is, scheduling their meeting. If you can remove a burden by the end of that call, it's a win for that person. Because we're probably up there with like dentists where it's like, I'm doing a financial meeting with my financial team. People probably aren't super excited about that. We actually have a lot of people who are excited to meet with us, but there's still those people who I know. I was on a call with some clients a couple weeks ago, and one of the couple, they always start on the call with his body language of like stressed, closed off. And then as we walk through their plan and look at the different scenarios that they're thinking through and how we have plan A, but we also have plan B set up for the what ifs that come up, they open up, their eyes light up, and they go, oh, I feel so much better. So I totally resonate with that.
Hey there. If this episode impacted you, would you share it with a friend right now? That would mean a lot to me. And even better, if you could leave a review of the show. Maybe mention what part of this conversation stuck with you. On the first Tuesday of each month, we're going to bring you some more stories of great leaders who have learned what it means to be truly wealthy. If you're watching on YouTube, we're going to drop that on the first Thursday of each month. So keep an eye on that. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time.